Coral Island describes itself as a vibrant, laid-back reimagining of the farming sim subgenre, with the added layers of story and a considerable amount of romance options. The game seeks to expand the farming sim responsibilities and encourage the players to create relationships with the residents that could eventually lead to marriage and children. Coral Island released October 11th of 2022, and it's been less than a year since the game released into early access. Does Coral Island live to the statement? Well, let's go through the offerings and find out. So make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and push the notification bell to get more videos like this, guys. So first, we're going to start with the gameplay, and we're going to discuss the time and scheduling mechanic of the game. One of the major things that governs your experience in Coral Island is the mechanic of time. Your player is able to do anything he wishes from the moment he or she wakes up and until the start of the next day. Sleep is compulsory in this game, or else you pass out and have to pay a medical fee for recovering your body, as someone always manages to see your body at the right moment for your safety after you pass out. The hours pass quickly, and if you don't start to schedule your days in order to make most of the morning or day, you're going to have a difficult time progressing anything in the game. This system influences everything you do regarding to farming, crafting, upgrading, and socializing. The seeds available for you are only in the in-season crops for purchase. Crafting resources takes in-game hours to complete as well. Upgrading your tools, crops, and house can take days, and building a relationship with the townies will take months of daily extroverted activities and weekly gifts in order to progress and get closer to the characters you choose. In essence, the first variable of opposition inside the sandbox is time. You must get acquainted with the schedule of the most important people in the island, this being the lab, Sam's shop, and the smith, finally getting the time on point to see your beloved partner of choice. After you master time and manage to be consistently precise at what you do in your day, you're going to find the game is a breeze and a proper simulation of the town. This is quite an interesting part of the game because it forces you to do things in a manner that you most likely would not be doing if you had the time to do as you wish at whatever moment of the day or of your play session. So it's quite interesting to have a game be so urgent for the things that you have to do at the beginning of it. Now we go into farming. Farming is the straightforward management of the farm and the items that come with it. The interactions are simple. You are required to open the ground, put a seed or plant in the space you choose, and water it daily in order to produce a harvest and its continuous fruits. The fruits of your labor come in different types of qualities. They usually come in a common variation or anywhere between bronze, silver, gold, or platinum quality. This depends on the quality of the seed or plant, but it can also be influenced with fertilizer that you can craft once you have the materials. However, the seeds, plants, and trees that provide crops need to be upgraded for a consistent quality harvest. These can be upgraded with the foraging of kelp, a seabed leaf you can pick up while diving in the nearby reefs of the island. This leaf is then synthesized into an essence that helps create a consistently higher quality crop for your harvest. The types of crops you have available are dependent on the season you are in, and the harvest of said crops are available after a predetermined time for each type of crop. I would say that as a primary function or the primary action of this type of genre or subgenre, as in the farming simulator, it provides a good loop. It is interesting. It is, of course, very sedentary. It is very slow because it requires the passage of time in order for you to see the fruits of your labor. But it is quite something. It is something that is engaging and requires a lot of responsibility and attention from you. So it is a good foundation gameplay loop of this game. Now we go to the resource gathering and foraging. This section represents the various resources you can pick through the islands or seabed. These objects range from flowers to trash found in the floor. The resources are needed for crafting and synthesizing in order to obtain materials or parts needed for more complex and costly items. In short, you should be picking up everything you can find, as there's something it is useful for. When it comes to picking objects or fishing, these are graded as harvests are as well. You find them in the wild or in specific locations and use them for cooking or simply selling them to the town. Outside this, you can have the mine/dungeon segment of the game that involves a little bit of combat. Here you can mine for ores that will eventually turn into ingots for crafting and upgrading. Materials such as wood, stone, and coal are also needed for almost every upgrade and crafting in the game. These resources are also used for the sacrifices in the Divine Quest, which we will discuss in the following segment. Overall, this is pretty interesting as well. You should always have a little walk through the island in order to make sure you can pick up a lot of these a lot of these items that you won't find in the farm or that you cannot grow. So it's always good, despite having the ability to fast travel eventually as you progress into the game. It's nice to have a little walk and pick the things that you may want to have or sell for the town in order to have an increased income at the end of the day, or simply because you want to use some of the items that you can forage either to cook or to do something that may be beneficial for you in the long run. Now we go into the narrative design of the game, and we start with the questing. The premise of Coral Island is that your avatar has chosen to take the job as a farmer in an exotic island. You travel from your metropolitan life and leave behind the joys of urbanization. As you take the farm that was recently abandoned and is needed for sustainability of the community, you are introduced and welcomed by the Tonys, members of the community. They introduce themselves and the fact that they knew you were coming to the island. You also meet the singles available for romance. After a couple of days of getting acquainted with the island, the townies, and your farm, you get the pufferfish incident that introduces you to the main quest. This incident introduces a long-ignored issue with the island. After an oil spill incident, the natural balance and health of the environment of Coral Island has degraded significantly. You are chosen to help clean the island from impurity and contamination. From there, the quest is divided into 3 avenues of approach in order to improve the grade of the island. These are the museum. This needs you to collect and deposit common, rare, and unique items into a drop box inside the expository. These items are eventually seen in the expository as you bring them in. Diving. This section is heralded by Dr. Ling and requires you to clean the nearby coral reef some oil by activating the machines that dispose of it. And finally, we have the sacrifice. This is introduced through dreams and revelations by the entities of the island, this being a goddess that chooses you for the task of ridding the corruption from its environment. I would say this is an interesting presentation. It definitely requires more of the story in order to be interesting. I think it is a good start, it is a good premise, and I believe it's something that can be developed into something great, because I think let's say, if I'm not mistaken, the Indonesian inspired setting is quite unique. I believe the characters are interesting, and I believe a lot of what you have to do with these characters, especially as you continue to grow your farm and continue to expand your relationship with the townies while making the town better, is a satisfying and engaging loop. So maybe this is not an engaging story by the tropes and by what we're used to seeing in video games, at least contemporarily, when we compare it to very narrative-focused games, although many may scoff at the comparison because this is an early access game. I believe it bears an importance to compare the type of story that we're receiving from our developers in this game, because I think it is well delivered for the type of feedback loop they want to provide for us. Now we're gonna talk about romance. The characters available for romance are numerous and diverse. There's a phenotype and personality for everyone. They have a schedule that drives them to the island for your jobs and leisure activities. And as it pertains to this regard, they are governed by time, just as you are, as it pertains to the things they can and can't do, or are supposed to do based on the day that you are currently playing through. Romancing is simple. You speak to the chosen character each day and proceed to gift them every week and in their birthday. Romances, however, are not complete, so you can only see what is available for each character until you reach the 4th heart, which, if I'm not mistaken, is when you have the first special scene with them. Mind you, I have only romanced Eva, so I don't know how the other characters are going to respond to you, or if you even get something at the 4th heart. But in essence, the romance is set to be something that will be expanded considerably, because you will be able to marry the person you want to romance and have children with them. The roadmap is pretty detailed, so it's something that it talks about a little bit, and I think you're gonna enjoy every option you have, because it really does have something for everyone, if that makes some sort of sense. Now we go into conclusions. I believe that with everything that I've experienced in my play sessions and what I've been able to understand as I'm writing the script, is that Coral Island is an exceptional early access game with a promising roadmap. Romance is interesting and valuable. As I said just now, there's a lot of diversity as it pertains to the characters that you have. There's a lot of personalities and there's a lot of interest. So I think this is something that if you're looking for, you will enjoy. Farming is somber and time consuming, consuming, so it's something that you're going to enjoy doing as you also prepare for the other things that you will be needed for across the different quests and the specific needs your particular partner is going to have. And there's enough content to keep the initial days unpredictable but with a mission. So understanding that the narrative is quite well presented, it has an interesting premise that leads you into more relationship with the townies, and the fact that the gameplay loop, which requires you to be consistently upgrading your farm and looking for the materials that will upgrade the income that you have from it, makes it an interesting loop. So I would say that if you like simulators and games that have a heavy focus on character romance, then this is a game for you. So guys, thank you for watching the video and coming back to the channel. Hit the like button, subscribe, and push the notification bell. Thanks again, God bless you, and I'll see you next time.